It's DDB, and I've got another edition of my weekly football trend report. I've got 10 trends for you this week, 5 in college, 5 in the NFL, and we are going to get right into those. They're a combined 125 and 0. These 10 trends are, and I've got some doozies at the end, so you're definitely going to want to stick around. Let's get right into these trends. And guys, as always, please never make a bet based on any single trend. These trends I've been giving you are just, individual trends in games that have many trends that are active and relevant. Trends, if you're going to use them as part of your handicapping process, they are best used when you weigh out all of the trends for each game that you feel are relevant, and then decide if they are weighted more heavily on one side or the other. We're going to start, as we always do, in college football, and we are going to start with Louisiana Tech. And we're going to go back to the 2021 season when they are on the road, A for away, against a conference opponent. And then we'll hit the SDQL button. And you can see that despite an average line of near pick'em, Louisiana Tech is 0-8 straight up, losing by more than 2 touchdowns per game. 0-8 against the spread, losing to the spread by an average of 12.5 points per game. And you can see that this is active on Friday with Louisiana Tech visiting UTEP. So keep that one in mind as I record this on Thursday morning. This trend is active on Friday, which is tomorrow. Let's move right in to trend number 2. Now we're going to look at Louisiana Lafayette. We're again going to go back to the 2021 season. And again, with these college trends, I really don't like to go back more than like 3 seasons just because there's so much player turnover in college football. So keep that in mind. Sometimes I'll go back further if the head coach is the same. So just keep that in mind as we go through these. So we're going with Louisiana Lafayette, going back to 2021, when they are off a game in which they scored 37 or more points. So previous points greater than or equal to 37. We'll hit the SDQL button, and you'll see that Lafayette is 0-9 against the spread, losing to the spread by an average of more than 12 points per game. You can see that this was active last Saturday, and I believe I did have this trend on last week's video because it sure sounds familiar. And again, they failed to cover as 10.5-point home favorites against Buffalo. And it's active again this Saturday with Louisiana Lafayette on the road against Minnesota. So let's move into college football trend number 3. And guys, if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and also hit the bell for notifications so you are notified immediately whenever I drop one of these videos on my channel. For college trend number 3, we're going to look at Utah State. And again, we're going to go back to the 2021 season, when the posted total for the game is between 49 and 56. And we'll hit the SDQL button, and you can see that the over-under is a perfect 9-0, 9 overs, no unders. And look at this. These 9 games went over by an average of basically 18 points per game. And if you look in the right-hand column down here under overtime, none of these games went overtime to pad that margin. So this is a strictly regulation margin of nearly 18 points per game. And you can see that this is active on Saturday with Utah State at Connecticut. And we will move right on into trend number 4. And for trend number 4, we're going to look at Kentucky. We're going to go back to January 1st, 2022, when they are playing their 5th or more game on the season. So game number greater than 4 means they've already played for at least 4 games. And we'll hit the SDQL button. And you'll see that the over-under is 0-10, no overs, 10 unders. These games stayed under by nearly 9 points per game on average. So I love when we have a margin that's more than a touchdown. And you can see that this is active on Saturday with Kentucky hosting Florida. And it will also be active beyond that as well. As you can see, going back to the 2022 season from game number 5 on, which is pretty much almost exclusively conference opponents until you get here to the bowl game against Iowa. But yeah, all unders from last season. We'll see if this trend holds out this season or not. We'll know soon enough. So let's go to the final college trend for this week. And guys, if you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up to like this video. This one, we're going to look at Oregon State. We're again going to go back to the 2021 season when they are at home, and it says the line is greater than or equal to -24, which basically means they were either, as long as they're not a favorite of more than 24 points. So we'll hit the SDQL button, and you can see that Oregon State is 11-1 straight up, 12-0 against the spread, covering the spread by about 10.5 points per game. Again, I love when we have a margin, especially double digits, but at least more than a touchdown. And you can see that this is active on Friday. Oregon State at home hosting Utah. So now we are going to switch over to the NFL for the next 5 trends. So we're just going to hit, before I get to that though, and I said this in a previous video, there are so many, as you can see, abbreviations for these college teams, and I don't certainly have them all memorized. So what you can do is when you first get to killersports.com, if you click on NCAA football, well, first of all, let's go to the homepage. There's your homepage. If you click on college football here at the top, and then you click on the NCAA football SDQL query, if you click on that link, it takes you to the page where you will run your queries. Now over here, it will list all of your teams. And if you click on the word query, it will sort them in alphabetical order. And again, if you click it again, it'll do reverse alphabetical order. But it's a good way to look at this list and learn some of the abbreviations that they use, because some of them aren't what you think they would be. Again, look at this. Some of them are only 3 letters. Some are 4 letters. Some are 5 letters. So you can't really go by the number of letters to try to figure it out. So this is a good way to just scan these real quick and see what the abbreviations are for each team. And if you ever want to run a query on a team and you're not sure what it is, what the abbreviation is, you can always come back to this page, sort this list alphabetically, and scroll down till you find what looks like the right abbreviation. Having said that, let's mosey on over to the NFL query screen. And we are going to start out by looking at the San Francisco 49ers. We're going to go all the way back to November 28th of 2021. Again, 4-digit year, then 2-digit month, and then 2-digit day. So we're going back to November 28th, 2021, when the Niners are a home favorite against a conference opponent. And we'll hit the SDQL button, and you'll see that the 49ers are a perfect 11-0 straight up and against the spread. They were an average favorite of basically a touchdown, won the games by an average of 17 points per game, covered the spread by an average of nearly 10 points per game. And this is going to be active on Sunday when the Niners host the Arizona Cardinals at what looks like a 2-touchdown spread. You can see here they laid 10.5 and rolled the Giants the other Thursday. Going back to the final uh, regular season week of last season. They laid 14.5 at home against these Cardinals, beat them 38-13. So they've definitely laid some heavy lumber and still got the job done in relatively easy fashion. So that one is going to be active for this Sunday. Let's move into NFL trend number 2. And for this one, we're going to look at the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to go all the way back to November 23rd of 2017 when they are a favorite. And this says the line is greater than or equal to -4.5. So basically, they're a favorite of 4.5 points or less. And their previous game stayed under the total. And we'll hit the SDQL button. And you'll see that the over-under is 13-0. 13 overs, no unders. These games went over by an average of nearly 10 points per game. Now, you can see there were 2 overtime games here, but this one ended in a tie. There were no overtime points scored. This one, there was a touchdown scored in overtime. So 6 points, spread out among 13 games, that's only going to knock this average down to about 9.2 points per game margin. So still, it's going to be a margin that I'm happy with there. And you can see that this is active on Sunday with the Vikings at the Panthers. And again, this is one of those where, and I haven't seen the line today yet, so line greater than or equal to 4.5 means that they are a favorite of 4.5 points or less. And this line that they have in the database right now is right on that 4.5. So I haven't looked at where this line went or where it is right now. So if the Vikings creep up to a -5 or more, this trend becomes irrelevant. So again, you always have to keep an eye out when you list a line parameter or a total parameter. You always have to keep an eye out to make sure that the line and or total stay within the specified number to keep the trend active. Let's roll to NFL trend number 3. For this one, this is these last 3 actually. No, well, not the next one, but this is one of 2 trends that are league wide. So they don't refer to coaches, they don't refer to teams, this is league wide. And we're going back to 2018 when we have a divisional game and the dog, capital D for dog or underdog, is a dog of 4 points or less, and they won their last 2 meetings against this opponent. So again, lowercase p points to a team's previous game, but a capital P refers to the team's previous game against the current opponent. So this right here, capital PW and then double capital P and a W, means that they won the previous matchup with this team and they won the matchup 2 matchups ago as well. Their opponent is coming off a loss against a non-division opponent. So since 2018, divisional dogs of 4 points or less that won the last 2 meetings against this opponent, and the opponent lost its previous game against a non-division opponent. So we'll hit the SDQL button, and you will see these teams are a perfect 14-0, covering the spread by an average of nearly 11 points per game. And you can see that this is active on Sunday with the Buccaneers at the Saints. Let's move into NFL trend number 4. And guys, if you have any trends or angles, situational stuff you want me to look up for this weekend's games, drop them in the comments. I'll get to them when I can. If you have any trends on this weekend's college or NFL games, drop those in the comments as well. We would all love to see them. For this trend, we are going to look at the. We're going to go all the way back to December 3rd of 2000 when they play on an artificial surface and their previous game was a home game and they were favored the last time they faced this opponent. And we'll hit the SDQL button and you will see that the Raiders are 0-17 straight up and against the spread, losing by an average of more than 19 points per game, losing to the spread by an average of more than 16 points per game. And this is going to be active on Sunday when the Raiders visit the Chargers. Now, again, I'm not somebody that usually likes to go back this far for trends. You know, the team has changed. The players aren't the same. The coaches aren't the same. Hell, they're not even in the same location anymore. So, you know, these trends I tend to take with a grain of salt. And this, because of how far back we're going, I can't ignore 0-17 against the spread, and I can't ignore the margin by which these games are losing. So that's what sticks out to me here. Having said that, because we're going back so far, this is not a trend that is going to have me fading the Raiders, but it is definitely a trend that is going to have me not betting on the Raiders. Let's put it that way. So some trends just work like that for me. If I'm not completely in love with the trend, like with this one, because of how far back we're going, it isn't going to put me on the Chargers side, but it is definitely going to keep me away from the Raiders side of this game. So let's wrap this up with the monster trend of the day. And this one, we are going to look, again, this is another league-wide one. So this is teams with a winning record. So winning percentage greater than 50. When they're playing their fourth game of the season, when they lost against the spread by 10 or more points in their previous game, so previous ATS margin less than or equal to -10, when they won the last matchup against this opponent, the current opponent, and they are either an underdog of +3 or more, or they are a favorite of -3 or more. So in other words, this line is not between the threes. And we're going all the way back to the 1994 season for this one. So again, this is going to be one of those trends that, depending what it shows, it's not going to put me on that side of the game, but it probably will keep me off of the other side of the game. So let's hit the SDQL button. And you can see the teams in this situation are a perfect 22-0 straight up, winning by more than 15 points per game, 22-0 against the spread, covering the spread by almost 12.5 points per game on average. And you can see that this is active on 3 games on Sunday. So this 22-0 ATS trend is pointing towards the Falcons over the Jaguars, the Commanders plus the points against the Eagles, and the Cowboys laying the points against the Patriots. Now, again, we're going back nearly 30 years with this trend. So this trend alone is not going to put me on the Falcons or the Commanders or even my beloved Dallas Cowboys. But it is going to keep me off the Jags, the Eagles, and the Patriots. So keep that in mind going forward this weekend, guys. That is going to wrap up this week's football trend report. Again, if you've got any trends you want me to look up for this weekend's games, drop them in the comments. If you have any, drop those in the comments as well. And until next time, guys, best of luck on all of your wagers today.